Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks again for joining us here for this Sunday's show. I'm Dave Percy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service. And looking at the advisory chart here, we've got 4 advisories going. This one here, the flood advisory for the northern Seward Peninsula coast there from Shishmaref to the west, that's set to end early this evening. And up here on the eastern Arctic coast there's a high surf advisory out for tomorrow and Tuesday, looking for 40-mile-per-hour winds to create some heavy surf conditions, which could result in some minor beach erosion. And then there's a frost advisory out for the greater Fairbanks area for tonight, as temperatures expected to drop to 25 to 32 degrees in that range there tonight, so that's could be a pretty heavy frost in some of those areas. And there's also still that flood advisory out for the Chena River upstream of Moose Creek Dam. That's out now until 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Moving to the satellite imagery, quite a storm rolled into the southeast coast today. The main front having now looked pushed inland there, becoming a little more showery here over the southern southeast coast. But quite a bit of rain, heavy at times, and heavy winds with storm warnings were out for Stevens Pass, or actually Clarence Strait, throughout the day today for winds 50 knots or greater, and rain extending back up along the North Gulf Coast, clearing out over south central Alaska with the gusty northerly and northwesterly winds returning to the area here, where you can see more clouds gathering back along and to the west and northwest of the Alaska Range there, with areas of showers and rain in that zone. And then farther to the north, another batch of moisture that's also sliding southward, and then clouds kind of heading the opposite direction up there across the northeast interior, streaming off to the northwest. A lot of clouds along the Arctic coast, but more moisture out here to the west, bringing some rain into the eastern Aleutian areas, just clouds over the Pribilofs. And some of that moisture, mostly in the form of clouds, streaming across the Alaska Peninsula, but see a band of moisture stretching out to the central and western Aleutians there, but clearing out pretty nicely here over the northern Bering Sea. See on the chart here is a sunny day across St. Lawrence Island, a lot of clear skies, VFR flying conditions here across much of the northern and eastern Bering Sea. A few clouds down here over Bristol Bay, but sunshine, winds gusting 45 miles per hour at Kodiak there this afternoon. Also some pretty gusty, strong winds. Seward and Whittier reporting wind gusts of 50 miles per hour today, but that downsloping wind made for a lot of sunshine again over the Susitna Valley. Some clouds spreading in now this afternoon into the valley there, but still mostly clear down across the Kenai Peninsula and Prince William Sound. And here's a system that brought all the rain, again, heaviest wind and rain down over the southern southeast coast today, where Ketchikan and Heidelberg had about 1.8 inches in the last 24 hours. And Wrangell and Port Alexander both had over an inch of rain. Lighter amounts to the north. By contrast, Juneau had 3/4 of an inch of rain. So still, it's been a pretty wet 3 days here down across the southeast coast. And you're in a wet weather pattern. It looks like it's going to continue at least for another day. And then on Tuesday, it may dry out and be partly sunny, but still a lot of moisture and showers off the coast here that'll keep streaming in for tonight and tomorrow. But some scattered showers, mostly cloudy skies over the eastern interior, and some snow showers up along the Brooks Range area with some low clouds and fog over the eastern Arctic coast there. And then this front, again, bringing the rain to the central and eastern Aleutian areas. For tonight, that doesn't move a whole lot. High pressure here holding it back to the west, and that front pulling out from the main low center, remaining way back there toward the Komodorsky Islands. So this whole system will be weakening, but still look for cloudy skies with occasional light rain, drizzle, and fog there for the Fox Islands, and some of that moisture extending back toward Atka. And then another front developing here, bringing wind and rain into the far western Aleutians, but winds diminishing here along the west coast. High pressure starting to build inland, so those winds will be diminishing, continuing to decrease. And also look for the winds to decrease here over south central Alaska and Kodiak Island. They won't end altogether, but they should show a diminishing trend here tonight and before they pick back up again tomorrow. Looking for showers or precipitation here along the western Alaska range and the northern areas right into the northern, northeastern Copper River Basin areas, with the snowfall levels dropping down to maybe as low as 1,000 feet overnight tonight, with the freezing levels dropping down to 2,000 feet. With that colder air coming in from the northwest. Starting to clear out up here over the Koyukuk and Kobuk, Noatak Valley areas, and also look for some partial clearing over the western interior areas, but still look at lingering rain and snow with fog there at the eastern Arctic coast and kind of breezy conditions there, lighter winds with areas of fog back to the west, and still some snow showers in the Brooks Range. Low pressure remaining up over the northeast Gulf of Alaska. That's going to keep that moisture feeding into the southeast coast, so numerous showers and areas of rain continue tonight, so the pretty wet conditions both tonight and again tomorrow. Another trough rotating around and spreading more moisture in. So again, a lot of showery and rainy conditions with cloudy skies through the day tomorrow. Then that should start improving tomorrow night as this low begins to track off to the southeast there, and most of the moisture ends up over in Canada. But for tomorrow, again, the winds picking back up, another upper disturbance dropping down and into the Gulf of Alaska here, feeding in above this low center at the surface. So look for those winds, gale force winds here for tomorrow for Kodiak Island, 40-knot winds in the forecast for the Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, and the east side of Kodiak Island, and a lot of small craft advisories everywhere else, even some gale warnings out for Cook Inlet. Otherwise, high pressure making for light winds and mostly sunny skies here, at least partly to mostly sunny conditions over the western and northwest interior areas, and also down across Bristol Bay. Should be another mostly sunny day here across Kodiak Island into Prince William Sound, even the Copper River Basin. Lingering showers here over the eastern interior, and then rain and snow with gusty winds there on the eastern Arctic coastal areas and into the eastern North Slope. And then out to the west, that next front pushes eastward with more rain into the central Aleutians, a warm front spreading rain into the Fox Islands. Some of that may sneak over to the Alaska Peninsula, but it's just a slight chance of any moisture in that area. And then increasing chances of rain for the Pribilof Islands. High pressure building inland, so winds really becoming lighter across the Yukon and Kuskokwim Delta. Again, a much lighter wind day tomorrow there for the Seward Peninsula and even up along the northwest coast, with that whole area high pressure shifting to the east. Strongest winds will be down Kodiak Island, south central Alaska into Prince William Sound, and the channeled areas gusting up to maybe 40 to 60 miles per hour in the channeled terrain here across southern Alaska. And looking ahead to Tuesday, this low pressure area swinging up to just southwest of the Pribilofs there, so look for small craft advisories in that area with a narrow band of gales possible here across the Fox Islands, rain spreading in over the Alaska Peninsula. High pressure now building in across the interior, so still some lingering shower activity here over along the Alcan border from about, well, maybe as far south as Northway, probably north of that, up all the way to the eastern Arctic coast with pretty brisk west winds, again, kicking up to 40 miles an hour tomorrow and on Tuesday as well. Lighter winds back to the west, but still mostly sunny, a couple of clear days coming up here from the North Gulf Coast. Lighter winds, though, a lot less of a gradient here across southern Alaska than we've had, and so the winds will be much lighter on Tuesday than they will be tomorrow. And then optimistically looking for a dry day here along the southeast coast as this low drops southward and pulls all the moisture with it. Risk of some showers over Dixon Entrance, and that's about it. And the remainder of the moisture over there in northwest Canada. Temperatures this afternoon down across the Panhandle, mid-40s to mid-50s with 50 degrees and rain at Juneau. Same thing at Sitka, 54 at Klawock, and a 56-degree reading over at Annette. 56 up at Cordova. Mid to upper 50s here across south central Alaska. Gulkana, though, 48 degrees and kind of cool over toward Delta and Northway, right around the 40-degree mark, but Fairbanks was up to 45. Upper 40s here over the upper Yukon Valley area, and mid-30s to lower 40s along the Arctic coast, lower to mid-40s here over the northwest interior, as well as the Seward Peninsula areas, with 40s along the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. McGrath had 43, Bethel up to 49, and Nome had 44. And down to the south, King Salmon at 52, Dillingham 54, lower to mid-50s for the Alaska Peninsula, Atka up to 61, 10 degrees cooler out at Shemya. And for the lows tonight, again, mid-20s to lower 30s here through really from the North Slope all the way down into the Tanana Valley. Otherwise, mid-40s, mid to upper 40s for the Panhandle, and mid-30s to lower 40s for south central Alaska. Coldest in the wind-sheltered areas with lower 50s for Kodiak Island. 30s out here over the southwest coast, and mid-20s to lower 30s here over the northwest interior with 50s out over the Aleutians. Highs for tomorrow, 30s to lower 40s for the Arctic coast, upper 40s to lower 50s over the interior. Temperatures warming up there to 60 degrees across Bristol Bay. Mid to upper 50s south central Alaska, mid 50s for the Panhandle. Flying weather, marginal VFR over the southeast coast here, mostly down to the south, becoming VFR up to the north. Marginal VFR along the northern slopes of the Alaska range there, and then up the eastern interior. Areas of IFR along the Arctic coast. Good VFR here through the western interior. Could be some marginal stuff there around Kuskokwim Bay, but the main area IFR over the Aleutians and into the central Bering Sea. Passes Anaktuvik, marginal, same forecast. Radigan, marginal. At times, Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR to start with, becoming VFR throughout the day. Rainy, marginal VFR on the western entrance. Otherwise, pretty good VFR conditions. Windy, north entrance could be marginal at times, as well as Isabel and Mentasta, the northern entrances. Marginal VFR, but better conditions to the south. And for Tanita, VFR. Portage, also VFR. Chilkoot and White, marginal to start with, and then becoming VFR. Freezing levels showing 2,000 feet here all the way down into Prince William Sound and the southern Kenai Peninsula areas, with 4,000 feet down across the Panhandle. Much warmer conditions out here to the west will gradually be spreading back in Tuesday and on Wednesday into the interior. And icing threats above 3,000 feet here over the eastern Arctic coast and Brooks Range, and also above 12,000 feet here over the eastern Aleutians and into the Bering Sea, and above 4,000 feet along the entire southeast coast. And for the winds aloft, got still a jet here sailing southward or southeastward across the western interior and across Kodiak Island, and then the Pacific jet out here over the central Aleutian areas. And this trough coming southward will pick those winds back up again across south central Alaska tomorrow. Again, 30 to 45 knot northwesterlies across south central Kodiak Island, lighter to the north, but those westerlies up to 45 on the eastern Arctic coast. 3,000-foot winds, good strong northwesterlies here across the Alaska Peninsula or across the Alaska Range down into Kodiak Island. Lighter winds for the Panhandle. Westerlies 25 to 40 knots for the central and eastern Arctic coast, and then some southerlies at about 35 through the central Aleutians. Look for occasional moderate chop here from the Alaska Range southward across south central Alaska and Kodiak Island. Also moderate chop for the eastern Arctic coastal areas, and then some bumpy conditions with those southerly winds over the central Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Jim Peranto. Today we're going to talk about the Voluntary Observing Ships Program, or VOS program as it is sometimes called. Now, the ships that are participating in this program provide much needed observations to both the marine and the scientific communities. And today I have Larry Hubble in studio, and he is the Anchorage Port Meteorological Officer, and he's going to discuss the importance of the VOS program here in Alaska. Welcome, Larry. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
So what is the purpose of the VOS program in Alaska?
Well, the Earth is covered by over 70% water. Alaska has a huge coastline. Very important to all of our customers to find out what the weather's doing out there. And we've developed a program to gather meteorological information to provide actual on-scene weather condition reports from all of our stormy waters. And it helps our forecasters do a better job providing accurate forecasts.
And what kind of information is gathered by these ships?
The ships can volunteer and report to the extent that they're available and to the extent that they have the equipment. But they give us their latitude, longitude, wind conditions, pressure, temperature, humidity, icing, ice conditions, wave heights.
A lot of information.
Weather, clouds.
Wow.
Some ships don't care to participate at a full level, but wind and pressure and temperature are very important to us.
Yeah, well, as a forecaster, I know that is very important to the operational forecaster when they get that kind of information to do the forecasts. Yes. What types of ships participate in this program?
Seems like we go after almost anything that floats. we love the container ships, the tug ships that are hauling fuel and cargo up there. They really support and serve Alaska. We encourage all the tugs to participate, and we have the cruise ship industry has really been good to us. The Alaska ferries. We have research ships, NOAA vessels actually, we have 3 of them home ported in Alaska waters. There's the tanker trade going into Valdez is very important to us. We're on a major shipping route. The Great Circle route between the western United States and Asia actually goes through Alaska water. Many of the container ships are very important to us. So
you talked about the type of information that is being gathered. Now, how is this data being collected on the ships?
You know, the ships have a package of weather instruments. Most of the major ships have weather equipment on board, and so one of our primary methods is a computer software program called Amber Seas that we provide free of charge to the ships. And it provides an easy coding method to get it into the World Meteorological Organization code. And they'll type in the parameters, temperature, wind, and pressure, and it codes it up for them, and it puts it in a format ready to transmit.
And this equipment is free of charge, right? I mean, I
Yes.
think it's important to stress that, you know.
Free of charge. Some of the ships maybe don't have the computer equipment, not really equipped to be a major contributor, and they'll look out their cabin window and estimate the sea conditions. They'll have a thermometer, and they may contact us via HF radio or VHF radio.
And when they're transmitting the data, that's also free of charge, is that correct?
It is. We pay for the satellite costs via Inmarsat-C or Inmarsat-A, and one of the things that we pioneered in Alaska was receiving ship observations via email. And we've been doing that for about 6 years now, and we get up to 7,000 emails a month.
Wow.
From around the world. This thing has gone worldwide, and Alaska is the portal for email observations from around the world.
That's incredible. That's outstanding. You have this contest that you guys have come up with up here in Alaska, and I think it's fascinating. Tell us about the contest.
Many of our marine community are competitive by nature, and we decided to have some fun with that, and we get the individual ships and tugs competing with one another. Sometimes we'll have a Crowley competition or a Horizon Lines competition to see who can take the most weather observations. And some have asked how many weather observations can we take, and I'll say send us 24 a day. We'll take one an hour if you have time. And we're thankful for those that just send one a day or a few a month. But the ships like to be number one, and so I have a global league that all the top ships in the whole world are competing in my league, and I have a Horizon Lines league, and I have a certain tug leagues, and it's been very fun, I think, for both them and me as well, because the numbers have keep going up every year.
What's the record, the world record? Is there? I can't remember if it was Arctic Sun had was it 4,000 or something like that?
Yeah, the Arctic Sun continues to set a new world record. They're an LNG tanker that travels between Nikiski and Tokyo, and they broke the new record last year in '06 with over 4,100 observations, and here it is in March of 2007. They're on a pace to do maybe 6,000 this year if they keep going. These are some competitive men aboard this ship.
That's outstanding. How many ships participate in the VOS program now in Alaska?
We work with about 300 ships, and normally we're trying to get more every year. And
what about in the United States?
The United States program has about 1,000 ships that are in the VOS program.
Okay, and this is a global program, so how many worldwide are participating in the program?
I feel like we have the United States has the premier VOS program, but worldwide we have about 4,000 ships.
Okay, that's a lot of ships. There's a lot of water, so that's good information to be able to get those observations from those ships. Now, how can a ship owner out there get involved in the VOS program?
We have 3 port meteorological officers in Alaska. Those are good contacts.
You being one of them.
Larry Hubble here in Anchorage.
Yeah, that's
and
you.
Rich Courtney in Kodiak.
Okay.
And Deborah Elliott in Valdez. We'll provide the phone numbers, and email is a good way to contact us. Phone number.
Okay.
Contact a local weather office in Alaska. They'll be happy to get you started.
Kind of point you in the right direction. There's also a website, I believe, right? A national website that people can maybe go to get more information. Is that correct?
It does give a nice overview of the program and a description of the software and the scope of what might be required.
Okay, great. Well, Larry, thank you for coming in today. It's been a pleasure. I've been wanting to get you in here for quite some time, and I think people in Alaska want to know more about the VOS program, so hopefully they have learned more by this segment, and maybe we can get some more ship owners involved in the program. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all the mariners that are supporting already.
Great. And if you want to know more about the VOS program, we mentioned the website. That is www.vos.noaa.gov. You can go there and get more information about the VOS program. There's also a couple email addresses that you can look at either for submitting data or retrieving data. And again, Larry, thank you for coming in today. And thank you for joining us here on Alaska Weather Facts. Until next time.
Welcome back. There's small craft advisories for the central and southern coast here for west to southwest winds at 25 knots. Clarence Strait, southeasterlies 25 knots. Stevens Passage, same direction, a little lighter. Northerlies at 25 for northern Lynn Canal. And looking at Tuesday's forecast, northerly winds 15 to 20 knots, strongest along the south coast. And also northerly winds over the inside waters ranging from 15 knots there for Clarence Strait up to 30 knots there for Lynn Canal with seas up to 7 feet. And east winds, that should be east winds at 20 knots there with 6-foot seas for the north coast. And for Cook Inlet tomorrow, north of the Forelands, 30-knot northerlies. Gales forecast south of the Forelands up to 40 knots here. Northwesterlies, Kamishak Bay, the Barren Islands there, and Kodiak Island. Otherwise, small craft advisories here for the North Gulf Coast and Prince William Sound. For Tuesday, much lighter winds coming up. Light variable conditions for Shelikof Strait and west-northwest winds 20 knots there for the east side of Kodiak Island and the Barrens, and northwest coming down to 15 knots for the North Gulf Coast with light winds now in Prince William Sound. For Bristol Bay, northwest 20 knots, Castle Cape to Sitkinak, those still up to 30 knots, especially early in the day, gradually coming down tomorrow afternoon late. Otherwise, southwest to southeast winds at about 15 for the Alaska Peninsula. And then for Tuesday, south to southeast winds at about 20 here for the peninsula. Light winds for Bristol Bay, westerlies at 20 knots southwest of Sitkinak. For the Aleutians, small craft advisories for the central Aleutians, south to southwest winds 15 to 20 knots for the eastern areas, and southerly winds 20 to 25 knots for those western zones. And on Tuesday, southwest at 20 there for the western marine zone. And we've got 20-knot winds out of the west for the central Aleutians, and then with that front right through this area, could be a narrow band of gale force winds there right across the Fox Islands. And for the southwest coast, west to northwest winds at about 15, and westerlies at 20 knots for St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, for the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island, southeasterlies at 20 knots with 6-foot seas. Then for Tuesday, small craft advisories here north of Nunivak Island, 20-knot winds to the south, and small craft advisories for the Pribilof Islands and also the northern Bering Sea there in the St. Matthew Island marine area. For the Arctic coast, lighter winds at about 10 knots here for the western areas. The central coast, northwest, 20 knots. And then we've got gales in the forecast here for the eastern Arctic coast tomorrow with small craft advisories in between. And those gales stay out on Tuesday with anywhere from kind of a range here. Southerlies at 15 for the central coast, then you're into the 30-knot winds there on the east central areas, and then gale force westerlies there for the eastern Arctic coast. And looking at tonight's forecast again, winds diminishing here along the west coast areas in the Seward Peninsula with some clearing breaking out there on the lee side or the south side of the Brooks Range. Still some snow showers there through the mountains and rain and snow for the eastern Arctic coast. And then again, showers and precipitation here along the Alaska Range with the snowfall level dropping maybe as low as 1,000 feet. And that same pattern here for the central and eastern Alaska Range, but it'll be dry along the North Gulf Coast. Maybe a few rain and snow showers sneak into the Chugach Mountains again late tonight. It stays wet over the Panhandle both tonight and tomorrow as that next wave drops into the Gulf of Alaska. Periods of rain and showers for the Panhandle. And then on Tuesday, high pressure and warmer conditions sliding into the interior for a lot of sunshine here. Partly to mostly sunny skies over the central and western interior, lingering showers here in the east, and a dry day coming up for the Panhandle. And there's that front with the increasing winds coming into the eastern Bering Sea and Aleutians. That's a look at the weather. Thanks for joining us.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.